jump into this week's assignment. Madison 4 is the file that you'll need from the Dropbox, and you'll also need to pull down the instructions from this week, week 7 I believe it is, the assignment link. Alright, so this is the file you should be seeing. It has several tabs, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the days of the week, with a weekly tab and pay policy. So what we are doing in this assignment is we're going to calculate the pay for these different sales positions here. So we have an assistant manager, a sales assistant, a sales partner, sales associate, and sales consultant. They're all defined by sales codes. We're given an hourly wage, an hourly quota, and a commission rate. So essentially, if they don't meet their hourly quota in sales, then they don't receive a commission. So we will need to be able to first determine what their hourly wage is, and then whether or not they met their hourly quota based on the number of hours they worked, and then if they have, provide their commission rate so that we can find out what this company is going to be paying for each employee. There's more than one way of going about this. We're going to go about it day by day, so Sunday through Saturday. It is possible to do lookups and to tally all of these on one weekly report, but we may want to be able to check out each days and to determine maybe what our best selling days are and so forth. So we're going to start with Sunday, and we need to calculate the daily base pay to start with. So let's create a column for daily base pay. We know that Joshua has worked 8 hours this day, and that he is an assistant manager by the classification AM. We need to look up from the pay policy what his base pay is. Now, we don't want to just take his hourly wage and then come back in here and multiply the two. We want to look it up in case at some point they increased the hourly wage. So we're going to use what's called a VLOOKUP. Now, there are a couple different ways of referencing this table. The way that I like to do it is I like to give a named region. So I select from A1 all the way through E6, and then I label it. So I'm going to say pay policy, all lowercase. It's very important that you are consistent with your naming. So we're going to keep it all lowercase, no spaces. So that region has been named, and I'll show you the different ways. So we're going back to the daily base pay, and let's perform a VLOOKUP to find out what their hourly wage is. So we'll say or equals VLOOKUP parentheses. You can also you probably have a formula builder that's popped up, and you can use it as well. But I'm gonna do it without it to start with. So I want to, by classification, AM. Remember to hit comma. I want to go over to the pay policy, and I'll show you one way of looking this up by selecting the entire area. And notice it automatically put in pay policy, but had it not, we would have had a range of cells. And the reason that I like to define a region is because you have to then put the $sign in before all of those, so that your cell range doesn't increment when you're copying and pasting. So by naming it, we don't have to do that. We can just hit comma, and we want to look up the third column. So you'll notice that column index is the next item. So I'm going to say 3, comma, and I want it to be an exact value, so I'm saying false. And then we want to multiply it times, and we'll have to go back to Sunday. Let me remove that. Well, actually, we'll click and I think it'll remove it. We want to multiply it times hours worked. Alright, so we just need F2 there. Hit enter, and there is our daily base pay, and I can drag that out throughout, and it'll put our daily base pay in for each worker. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change that to currency, so I see it in currency. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we want to find out what the daily sales quota is. So we're going to create daily sales quota. Go ahead and expand that. And based on the hours they worked, and going again back to the pay policy, we want to find the hourly quota. So we know that hours worked times the hourly quota will be their sales quota. So what we'll do is this time let's just say equals hours times, and I'm going to use the formula builder, and I'll hit VLOOKUP. Again, we're just doing the same thing we were doing previously. So we'll look up classification, the table array. I know that it's pay policy, so I don't need to go to the other field. I'll just say pay policy. And then I know that actually we'll flip over and I'll show you hourly quota is in column 4. So we're going to say 4, we'll delete out that 4. Sorry, for some reason on my Mac it's a pain to delete in this thing. 4, and it moved me up here. There we go. 4 and false again because we want an exact value. So we'll hit enter, and our daily sales quota, oops, apparently I deleted out the hours worked. So the VLOOKUP times cell F2. I did have F2 in there before, but somehow I deleted it. So if you had put F2 and then did the VLOOKUP, that's fine. Don't put it at the end, but you need to have the lookup times the hours worked. We'll hit enter. We'll drag that all the way down, and again we'll change that to currency. Alright, so now we know what the sales quota, the daily sales quota should be for each member. And let's double check that. Oh, I just realized that this document doesn't have the starting values that you guys are starting with, so your values might have looked a little bit different. So let me change that so that we match up. Alright, so we've got our daily sales quota, and now we're looking for commission rates so that we can show that on this table as well, in order to calculate the daily commissions. And the daily commission rates are also a VLOOKUP from policy. So the commission rates here, and it'll just be a straight VLOOKUP. So I'll just use the formula builder this time. VLOOKUP, we'll look up AM pay policy, and column 5 false. So there's our commission rate. We'll drag that out, We have all our commission rates. I'm going to change it to a percentage. Alright, so now we're ready to figure our daily commissions. But this is going to be a little bit trickier because they only get paid a commission if they meet their sales quota. So in order to find out if they meet their sales quota, we have to first look at their sales, make sure that it's greater than the daily sales quota. If it is greater than the daily sales quota, we need to multiply the sales times the commission rate. Otherwise, they get 0. So let's see what that will look like. We're going to use an if statement here. So equals if, and we're taking E2, we're seeing if it's greater than H2, and if it is greater than H2, we want to take E2 and multiply it times the commission rate. Otherwise, if it's false, we want it to be 0. So we'll hit enter. Oh, I didn't get multiply. I got a plus sign in there. Multiply. Alright, so $120. We'll drag that out. And we'll notice that this person, Pat, sales were $450. They should have been $525, so they did not receive a commission. In cosmetics, we have Barney that sold $456 worth. He needed to sell $437, so he does get a commission of 3% on those sales, and that was $11.42 essentially. So let's go ahead and format this cell for currency. And now we've created the basic columns that we'll need to create in all the other days, but rather than going through all the trouble that we just went through, we can actually select those columns, because all those formulas pretty much and actually I'm just going to select that range there. All those formulas will apply the same for each one of these because of the way we set them up. So I clicked on Monday, hold down Shift, click on Saturday, and we'll select that same range. In fact, I'll over select to show you something, and we will paste, and it pasted them in there. And right now, if you under selected, you would have got a message saying that it wouldn't fit in that range. Over selecting it, it'll paste in easily. You'll notice these pound signs. That's because the field is too small to show the entire value, so we have to double click, and it will spread those cells out when we click on the column separator, or you can drag them out. So now if we click through the tabs Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they all have values in them. So we want to create the weekly totals for those. So in order to do so, we're going to have to tally up each weekly payment. Or for instance, if we want to find out what the weekly base pay was, we'll go into weekly, create a column for base pay. Let me make that a little bigger for you to be able to see in this recording. Alright, so we want to basically pull Sunday's value all the way through Saturday. So I'm going to say in our weekly pay equal, we'll click on Sunday, we'll click on the daily base pay plus Monday daily base pay plus Tuesday daily base pay, and we're going to do this for each weekday or each day of the week until we have them all in there. Again, there's multiple ways of going about this, but this is what we're going to use. And we have an error in here somewhere. Oh, these last ones I didn't get, I didn't select them. G2, G2, G2. Alright, so it added all those values together. We can drag and drop those down the line. We have the daily base pay for or the weekly base pay. Let me change that to weekly so it makes a little more sense there. And let's also make that a currency. Alright, now we need to find out what the weekly commission is. And we'll be doing largely the same thing as what we were doing previously. The only thing is, instead of pulling G2, we want to take daily commission, which is J2, and down. So what I'm going to do is I copied the reference from weekly base pay, and I'm just going to change all the H's, and if you straight copied it, it may say G, but we're going to change them all to J. And I only did that to save time. You could manually click back through there like we were, but this saves a little time. So we'll drag it down, and then we have everybody's weekly commissions. Alright, the next thing you're going to be doing is doing a report to show, and I would go ahead and save at this point, but we're going to do a report to find out who has received more than $1,500 in commission in the last week. So what we can do is we'll use the report tab up here. When you click on it, oops, I need to select the whole field, and we'll turn it off, turn it back on. Alright, you'll notice that it's created actually, let's take our whole range here and then hit report so that we can use any of these values if we wanted. But we're focusing on the weekly commission to start with. So notice how there's these drop down box options here for each of these. When you click on them, it's going to ask you what you want to sort on or what you want to base this report on. Well, what we want to do is we want to find out everybody that's greater than $1,500 for this column. And so instantly it's created a report for us that shows everybody that has received more than $1,500 in weekly commissions. So this should be able to give you a good jump on the assignment from here. If you have further questions, let me know. But I wanted to give you at least this much to get you going because several folks were having trouble understanding how they could get to the weekly base pay and weekly commissions. Again, as far as the filters, to remove a filter, we've got the the greater than base pay here, we can delete out clear filters, or you can just come up here and actually just turn off the filters. And when you're ready to run another set of filters, select them all, select all items, turn back on that filter, and then you're ready to go again. All right. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best on this assignment.